I want to talk today about guilt and shame projections and how this can keep us from not only loving ourselves, but learning how to love ourselves. Um, Largely, self-love is doing what you love to do, the things that bring you joy, the things that make you happy and light you up. And sometimes when we are in an abusive situation, or we've had an abusive childhood, grown up in a toxic household, all the good stuff, we can end up taking on other people's guilt and other people's shame. And a lot of the time, these projections from the people around us, usually our abusers, are their own guilt and shame for who they are and what they've been told their whole lives, right? And while a lot of the time it's not, like in my case, it wasn't that my abusive parent was trying to protect me from the same treatment. It was more along the lines of, well, I didn't get to do it, so you don't get to do it, right? And that is anger, envy, jealousy that we've talked about in previous videos. And it is being shown in the form of guilt and shame because it's probably one of the easiest ways to sort of gain control over somebody else's actions, right? Why are you doing that? People don't like that. Who gives a fuck about people, right? Who cares? Well, they do, right? They do. They care about how you and what you do and what you say reflects on them. And they know, usually, very well, that the things that they have done and said to you were wrong. And we get inklings of this when we look back on our childhood, when we are in this state of healing in adulthood. We get inklings that they knew. Things that were said to me in the home would have never been said outside the home. And that's actually a really good example just to use. I shaved my head when I was in my early 20s. And I got a lot of compliments from people outside my home, people that I didn't know, or like acquaintances, or like friends who were actually supportive. But every time I passed by my mother in the house, she would say, "God, you look gross." Doesn't matter what my hair looks like, I'm beautiful. So obviously now, as an adult and through my healing and through this self-love, I'm learning that that was her projection. She didn't want me to do whatever I wanted with my looks because my being classically pretty, or pretty to like in her mind, reflected well upon her. And now I've ruined that, right? And people ask, she's like, well, people ask me if you have cancer. And my aunt tried that on me too. People are asking me if you have cancer. Well, I don't. Like, why do I have to change what I'm doing because of other people's misconceptions? It doesn't make any sense. But if we are in the throes of, projected shame and guilt, and we internalize it the way that I know I did my entire life, and we constantly follow that inner critic who tells us that what we enjoy doing is shameful, or we shouldn't enjoy doing the things we enjoy doing. And we shouldn't do the things that we are called to do, which I was. I was called to shave my head. I just didn't realize it at the time. And every time I have cut off my hair, I don't know what happened there, cut off my hair or shaved my head or done anything like that, I notice now that I, hindsight is 2020, I see that I was trying to shed everything I was being taught. But when you're still in that environment, even if you are able to shed, those projected feelings, they'll come back. And until you remove yourself from that environment and you begin the process of learning how to love yourself as you are, you start to see it. You start to see the patterns. And I saw the patterns. And, it's really sad to me that there are a lot of people, so many people, who don't do what their intuition or spirit or inner child is leading them to do because they're worried about what other people will say. Again, previous video, if you remember me talking about, just disregarding the, if I do this, people will say this. And I mean, even for positive things, I'm going to choose myself, and I'm going to choose peace so that this person gets upset. No, just cut that part off because you don't need it. Because who cares? This is about you and you only. Your life is about you. Your experiences are about you. If there is any point where somebody comes to you and says, you shouldn't do that. Say you're, I don't know, out at a park, you're sitting on a blanket in the grass, and, you throw your arms up and you got this going on like I do, right? And somebody says, yeah, you should shave that. Why? Ask them why. Why? And if the answer sounds anything like, because it's gross, to whom? Or because people will say this and that, let them talk. I'm happy. I get severe razor burn and a lot of pain and irritation and, discomfort from shaving. So I don't. You know what I mean? And let people talk about it, right? And the same goes for you. If you are doing something that isn't hurting anybody, I'm not talking about addictions. Of course, that is common sense that I am not talking about addictions, or at least I should hope it is. Destructive behavior, outwardly destructive behavior, abusive behavior, and addictions. Those are not counted in this. But if it's not hurting anybody and it's something that makes you feel good physically and spiritually and mentally, then where's the problem? So just ask them why. Always ask them why. Keep asking questions until they're not even sure why. Then maybe they'll work on their shame that they were just trying to project onto you. It's not yours. And you don't have to deal with it. So when that person either walks away in frustration or just plain walks away, don't let that shame and guilt sit with you. Just give it back to them. You forgot this, right? Take it with you. Because it's not yours to deal with, it's theirs, right? They need to heal enough to be able to do the things that they enjoy. How many things do you think that person has talked themselves out of doing? So, the inner critic that comes out when you're doing something that you enjoy and a little voice in your head says, shouldn't do that, ask why, even to that voice. Also ask, is this voice mine? Because a lot of the time it won't be. It'll be somebody else's voice from your childhood or whatever. You know, maybe a kid at school told you shouldn't do something because they were a kid and they didn't know any better. You know what I mean? And it stuck with you. And that can happen with sensitive people, right? Sensitive people like us will hold on to things and internalize them, and it becomes our inner monologue. I'd like for everyone who finds this video to practice reprogramming that inner monologue by asking questions about it, getting curious about why you feel this way. Because if you have shame and guilt that you can't grow from and expand your being and understanding of yourself and the world from, and learn to love yourself more from, then it's neurotic guilt, and it's likely a projection from somebody else. So, you know, get curious about your shame and your guilt. Explore whether or not this shame, this guilt is yours. And if it isn't, give it back. Give it back. Just say to yourself, this guilt isn't mine. You know, I don't want it with me anymore. Tell that inner critic, that voice in your head that tells you you're not supposed to do it, that you're just fine. And because you love yourself, you're going to choose to do what makes you feel good, what gives you passion, what lights you up. A lot of the time, our intuition will tell us instantly whether or not somebody is projecting shame and guilt onto us by telling us we should or shouldn't do something. But when you grow up or spend an extended period of time in an abusive environment or a restrictive environment, this intuition can be clouded. But love that about yourself too, because you have so much to expand on. You have so much to learn. You have so much growing to do, so much to find out about yourself, so much to find, to love about yourself, right? You know, it's kind of a recurring theme now, right? Just don't worry about what other people have to say. Don't worry about, you know, screw them. You know, cut that inner critic out of your inner monologue if it's not helping you to grow in some way. Because you deserve to love yourself today as you are. You know, if that means that you like you a chocolate cake, you know, little piece, just a little wedge, right? We're not going overboard. We practice moderation. We're healing, right? Little wedge of chocolate cake every couple of days. It's not hurting anybody. As long as it's not messing with your health, it's not hurting anybody. Go right ahead. Love yourself completely and wholly as you are today, because you deserve to have the most pure and wonderful love that you can only get from yourself, because only you know the depths of your own soul, the recesses of your own mind, right? You are the only one that knows. And you are the only one who can see how truly beautiful you are. As I said before, I know that the previous video that I posted with the photo of the sky was kind of weird and choppy. I'm not sure what happened there, but something was happening there. But I'll just let you know now that if you have a topic that you would like me to address, such as think along the lines of, how do I learn to love myself through this experience, right? So like if you're experiencing, like I said, projected guilt, and you'd like me to delve a little further into this and you know, the difference between existential and neurotic guilt, this is what I was looking into the other day, or over the weekend really. My little guy got sick, I had to take some time off, take care of the little guy, right? If you would like me to address anything to the effect of, you know, how do I love myself through a poor self-image or anything like this, like, I am not a doctor or a therapist. I have no degrees. The only degree I have is in living through it. And the self-loathing that was given to me, I can tell you, was a very formidable opponent that I have been battling for almost 40 years. And I finally got that bitch on the ground and my foot on its throat. And I would love to help you all do the same if I can. I will also do personal readings. I mean, I don't consider myself a tarot reader per se. As I've said in previous videos, I will do readings for other people if I'm called to. So, you know, drop a comment if you want me to address something specific, or if you have any questions for me. I'll check in, and if I'm called to, I will respond to you with a video. If you'd like a reading, we can try to arrange some private messaging to talk about what type of reading you'd like, spreads and prices and all that. Yeah, I think that is all for today. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I love you.